You might notice a little static here and there throughout the video. It's just temporary. Again, thank you for watching. Hello and welcome back. Tonight we're going to do episode 4, Love of Country. The Love of Country, a G.I. Joe story. Me and these little guys go back as far as my 4th birthday. This fella right here, this one, was one of the first G.I. Joes to hit the market. This little guy here, I've had since I was 4 years old, believe it or not. Father bought it for me. 4 years old, and it only grew from there, I gotta say. Now, as I got older, my parents put a lot of my G.I. Joes, all the equipment, the Jeeps, the command center, they had the tower, I had all kinds of the outfits and everything. I had over 100 G.I. Joes at the time, and they put them in the attic. Now, I still had quite a few of them in my room, of course, but the majority of them were in the attic. They move, and they leave the toys in the attic. At the time they moved from that house, I was around 16, so G.I. Joes weren't the thing, if you know what I mean, for me. You know, teenager, you're not thinking about G.I. Joes at that time. Even though I still had an interest, don't get me wrong, but it just, 16. So later on, I'm growing in my 20s, and I'm looking at the G.I. Joes I, still had, and I'm like, man, I wonder if I ever go back to that address, if the people would let me have the G.I. Joes that are in the attic. Well, of course, if they probably had 2 or 3 families that had moved in by that time, so I didn't even bother, but yeah, he's one of the first. Now, he's one of the first of the line. He's got the real hard head, and a lot of the other ones after that, mid-60s, 66, 67, the heads were a little more pliable. But this is one of the originals right here, this guy. This big guy right here, one of the originals. One of the first that came out. Well, first in the series, probably one of the first on the line, because I know he's different from all the others. You could see how small his head is, and just a lot of differences about him that show that he is one of the first ones. These guys right here, in 1966 or 67, I want to say 66, they came out with the Foreign Soldiers line. You have the Australian Jungle Fighter, you have the British Commando, you have the Russian Infantryman, you have the Japanese Imperial Soldier, you have the German officer, German soldier, and you have the French Resistance soldier. I brought him to Paris with me when I was there last, and I was taking pictures with him everywhere. And it was cool. Chateau Chantilly, Tower, Eiffel Tower, other places. It's one area in Paris, they have that big lion. I can't remember where it is, but I took pictures with him there. And this one, Where is he? Where is he? Yeah. Now this is funny. This one right here is, uh, he came out in the 90s, I believe, late 90s, I'm sorry. And they had Normandy, they had, a line of different sorts. And this one is the Italian campaign when the U.S. went into Sicily and then went into Italy, and you had Anzio and all. Well, look, I'm in Venice. And, everywhere I go, I like to bring some of my figures with me. Like when I was in London, I brought a bunch of my James Bond figures and a couple of G.I. Joes. I brought the British Commando. And in Italy, I brought the Italian campaign soldier. And I took pictures of him by the Tower of Pisa and a couple other places. Well, I'm at the prison where they kept some of the POWs, and they had to walk the Bridge of Sighs. And I'm in the prison, there's a tour group going on, and I'm setting this soldier up by one of the jail cells where they held the prisoners. And I'm taking pictures with the G.I. Joe, and you have a group of tourists right over on this side waiting for me to take the pictures. And I'm taking all kind of pictures, so they get frustrated and they started walking, blocking, my shot, And I'm like, hey man, give me a second. I'm trying to get a picture here, with this soldier. Well, they got pissed off, but they did it. They laughed after and walked him over the Bridge of Sighs, and I just took him a lot of places. This one, another one of my favorites, was the deep sea diver. Little word of advice. When you're about 12 years old, whatever you do not get that G.I. Joe or any toy for that matter, and get into a swimming pool when it's 30 degrees outside and try out your deep sea diver. Stupid me, that's what I did. I jumped in the pool freezing to try out the deep sea diver, and needless to say, I had the flu after that, but I kind of think it was worth it. It was kind of fun, because, the way it works, he'll go down and you blow into these tubes, and, he moves around. It's cool. It really is. Now, up here is General Colin Powell. I had worked a booth years ago for the cardiology convention, and he was one of the guest speakers, and he signed the G.I. Joe for me. It's on the inside of the box, and it's a book he had called My American Journey, the Colin Powell story, and he signed that for me. He gave me that book, but he signed it. Great guy. Rest in peace. And, all the other ones. This was another one of my favorite. The Black Spider Rendezvous. And there's another one. It's the Spy. The G.I. Joe Spy. Right here. This was part of the adventure team. And he was the undercover agent. And here we have John F. Kennedy. When he was commanding the Pt.109. And this one comes with a coconut where he wrote his SOS message on. It's a pretty cool model. Another one of the first models of action figure. I'm sorry. This is another action figure that I had of G.I. Joe. One of the first I ever owned was the astronaut. He's pretty aged. And I have my talking G.I. Joes. You have the Air Force pilot, the Navy, Army, Marine. My favorite of all was the medic kit. I don't know what it was about the whole medic outfit, you know. It was so cool with the stretcher and all. It was great. And now this is an adventure team G.I. Joe uh, in his camouflage as a Vietnam medic. And right here is a World War II medic. And then you have some of the later ones that came out. This is the photographer, and you have a couple of the others. Look at this scary guy right here, man. That's pretty freaky, man. And then, of course, the sailor. I've taken him places too. Now, the Alaskan Adventure. This is another one of my original G.I. Joes that I had when I was a kid, part of the adventure team. I have a lot. I mean, I could do 20 episodes and no G.I. Joe would be the same in each episode. I have so many. I was blessed to be able to get what I had left in the attic 1,000 times over, 10 times over. I'm very grateful for that. Very blessed for that. And now this one is the guard of the unknown soldier. He guards the tomb of the unknown soldier. A little later on, but I still think he's great. You know, I think he's cool. If you've never seen the changing of the guard, it's something to see. It's a you know, very, how would I say, somber, yes, but inspiring as well. Now, this fella right here is kind of like a little replica of me. He's even got the ponytail and the beanie, and he's playing guitar, although I'm a drummer, but you know, I'll try my hand at guitar every now and then. And look, he's even got a Black Sabbath shirt. I'm gonna take video and pictures, and you'll see him at the end. But he has a Black Sabbath Never Say Die 78 tour t-shirt, and I have the same. I got pictures of me and him in the same outfit. G.I. Joe was great. I have the nurse. I have the original G.I. Joe nurse, and I have the Vietnam nurse too. But I have the original nurse. I got her when I was, I don't know, about 17. I found it, believe it or not, I found it at Woolworth. And they still, the original nurse, and I was like 17. I saw it, and with a couple of other, I think it was a couple of the adventure team. Even though, like I said, at 16, you know, my mind wasn't on G.I. Joe, but I always had G.I. Joe in the back of my mind. So if I saw something, you know, I would get it if it piqued my interest. And I saw the nurse. I remember the nurse as a kid, but as a kid, you're not buying the nurse. And that's one of the reasons why it's so sought after, because a lot of the boys didn't buy it. G.I. Joe hooked up with Barbie, you know. And but I bought the nurse, and gosh, I can't believe what it's worth now. Now her, I've never opened. I have one open that I found at a flea market once. Got her for like $15, I think. I guess they didn't know what it was. That was back in the mid 80s. And I found her, and I snatched her up, you know. And then I started, like in my early 20s, I started seeing the trend of, you know, how, you know, G.I. Joes were being sought after, even though they had a little 3 or 4 inch, which never turned me on. They had the little small ones, Cobra Commander, all that stuff. And it just wasn't wasn't my thing. I liked the bigger ones, and so they stopped making the 12-inch G.I. Joes mid 70s, 76, 77, something like that. Not sure. I know it was around that time, but in the early to mid 80s, people were looking for them everywhere. I'm like, man, if I would have only had the G.I. Joes that were in the attic, oh my gosh, I could sell them for hundreds of bucks. And some of them, when I think back of the G.I. Joes that I had, probably were thousands of dollars. I had everything. The dress marine, I had the green beret, and I've gotten them since, but a lot of them I still haven't got because they're really hard to find. And I have the vehicles. I have the original Jeep with the spotlight. I have the vehicle from Search for the Stolen Idol. The other one for these two. Um, I think the vehicle comes. Yeah, it was the vehicle that was the mummy's tomb, and Search for the Stolen Idol was the helicopter. And I have the helicopter. I have the six-wheel vehicle for the mummy, and all those vehicles, most of them. And I have some nice ones. Ultimate Soldier in the mid to late. And the American soldiers, the Jeeps and stuff, and they have this beautiful army tank. And I bought it, I want to say around 98, 99, and it was brand new, and it was 300 bucks when I bought it brand new. I have no idea what it's worth now. I want to say M15 tank, M5, something like that. I should know all this before I make the videos, but it's really cool. My next video that I do, I'm going to do one including all of the vehicles, the Harley Davidson, the Courier, World War II Courier, the 45 or 41 Harley Davidson with the sidecar. I have the astronaut with the space capsule. I've gotten most of the vehicles back that I had when I was a kid. I found them and bought them. Some of them I had to pay a little more than I expected, but it's fine. I like it. I love the stuff, and G.I. Joe is always, special to me. They were kind of like that friend when your other friends were either on vacation with their parents or punished, grounded, so they were the friend when the friends weren't around, or couldn't be around. And it's, I think about some of the times that, so many days that camera, and me and my friends would make movies, little monster movies, little gangster movies. And what we would do, like, we would make a movie like we were gangsters robbing a bank. You're 13, 14 years old. So we're acting like we're robbing a bank, and we get into a car, cut the film, and then what we do, we would have a car that would fit a G.I. Joe, and we'd fill the car with like M80s and stuff like that. And we'd have like a fuse, and we'd light the M80s just when it's about to, explode, a few seconds before we'd push the car, and I'd sit there with the camera, and the whole car and the G.I. Joes would blow up. I could just imagine the money I lost, doing that stuff, what those G.I. Joes would be worth. I remember, you know, blowing up so many and, setting them ablaze and everything. The G.I. Joe with the parachute, had a lot of fun with that. We go to these buildings when they're building the buildings, some of them 20 stories high. Security, things are not like they are today. I mean, you could get away with so much crazy stuff. And we go to the roof and we take the G.I. Joe with the parachute and drop him and, see him float down. It was so cool. One time I was on the Gulf Coast and I went there, went to the beach and, brought some of them with me to take pictures and stuff. And it was the Doughboy figure. No, I'm sorry. It was one of the World War II figures. I want to say it was the Doughboy, but maybe not. It was one of the World War II figures that had the parachute, not like the Air Force one. It was just a wide parachute. And this is what I would do. I would get a kite, and I would put one kite way, way up. I'd fly the kite, put the kite way, way up, and then what I would do, as the kite is, pretty high up, I would take another kite and put the G.I. Joe kind of really loose on there with a parachute, not packed really well. And I'd get the other kite up high enough to where I would put the other G.I. Joe on it. And then I would let both of them go way, way up. Both the kites go way, way up. So you have the ocean and you have the area where there's sand and everything else, buildings, neighborhoods, was pretty far away. But they did have some power lines and stuff like that. So I get the G.I. Joe and he's way up there, way up there. And all I would have to do is kind of tug on it a little. And the G.I. Joe would unravel, fall off, and he'd come down in the parachute. Well, I did that. So I tug on the G.I. Joe, and he falls off the kite, and he comes sailing down, and it looks so cool. And he's coming this way, and boom, ends up on the power lines. I'm like, oh, come on. I lost him, Well, like 5 minutes later, actually before that, I had backed the car up to see if because it's on power lines, so you got to be careful. I kind of backed the car up to see if I could get high enough to kind of jiggle him a little. Well, of course, it didn't work. About 5 minutes later, a fire truck comes down the road, and they saw the G.I. Joe hanging on the wire, and they got it down for me. I was like, wow, that was so cool. And I still got him, of course, but I won't try that again. I won't try it again unless it's in an open field or something like that. But that was before drones and, I could take a G.I. Joe up on the drone right and, it'll drop him automatically for me. But just little simple things we used to do with the G.I. Joes. And I love the, see, like the talking G.I. Joes. They were so boss. They, used to say all kind of things. Towards the end of the video, I'll take these out because if I do it now, they'll all come crashing down. And I'll kind of pull the string on some of them and have that on the video. If no one's ever heard the talking G.I. Joes, someone sees this video and they see G.I. Joe and they're a G.I. Joe collector, maybe they'll, click on it, which brings me to please like and subscribe if you like the video. I would appreciate it. Trying to get my videos moving. trying to get them out there. And but everything is just look. I mean, tell me, is that some great stuff or what? I mean, they don't make stuff like this anymore. I get it. People are in there playing their video games or flying their drones and doing whatever they do, which is cool. I'm a gamer too. I love it, you know. But this was my thing, when I was growing up. Mainly, there were other, things that other toys as a kid that that I messed with. You've seen in other videos that a lot of the other stuff I collected, painting the model kits and stuff like that. But I just again wanted to present some of the things to you. I hope you like the video, and I hope you like seeing these guys. For people that grew up with these guys, I'm sure you enjoy seeing them again. I always thought that the Japanese Imperial soldier was one of the cool ones, man, and the Russian soldier. It was just something about, and they had that distinct face. They were different. The foreign soldiers had a different look than the G.I. Joe soldier. The British and the French, I believe, looked like a regular G.I. Joe, if I remember right. But all the others had a distinct look to them, different from, the average Joe. uh, Come to think of it, I I want to say the French. I want to say the French resistance soldier had the same face as the German and the Russian, I believe, and the Australian jungle fighter. The Japanese imperial soldier had a look of his own. But yeah, they're really fun. It was fun times. I know I sound repetitive, but man, the 70s were just amazing with the toys, the music, the movies. It was a great time. Great time. So I want to wish everyone a good day, and I hope you enjoy your evening. And I want to again thank you for taking the time out to spend some time with me on these lovely little articles and have fun. And of course, the medic kit. It was so boss. And look, I want to show you this G.I. Joe right here. I brought him with me when I worked an event with Jerry Seinfeld, and he signed the G.I. Joe for me. You could see his autograph. And also, he signed 2 boxes of Junior Mints, and he signed a Superman model kit for me. He was really nice guy. I might slip some pictures in when I worked with him some years ago when my hair was like super long. But yeah, the medic kit, it was something about it that was great. And here's the foreign G.I. Joes, as you can see. That's the Russian, and of course you have the Japanese. And here you have the German soldier. And here's the French resistance. This one right here is the British Commando. And then we have the Australian jungle fighter, which might tip his hat a little bit. There you go. So they all had that distinct look. Unlike, the regular G.I. Joes. And that one is the Black Spider Rendezvous. He comes with a little helicopter jetpack. I think is pretty cool. And there's the deep sea diver, man. He was so cool. I mean, it was something about the deep sea diver that was really cool. Now this one is the Vietnam medic kit. They uh, took it off the market because of these. I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to see. The crosses on the armbands are black, which represented death, and so um, they quit making it. A lot of people didn't know that, but that's why. If you see on the other medic kit, you see the crosses are red, and that's the Air Force pilot, which is cool. Comes with a cool parachute. And of course, this one is the action sailor. Let's see. Let's see what he says. Oh,
G.I.Joe, U.S. Navy, reporting for duty.
He looks like a drunken sailor. Let me take his hat off.
Damage control. Fire in the engine room. Enemy submarine off port bow. G.I.Joe, U.S. Navy. Now hear this. Capsule sighted. Prepare to pick up astronauts.
Just cool stuff. Now, out of all of the talking soldiers, this one's definitely my favorite. This one is the U.S. Army G.I. Joe soldier.
Position secured. Well done, man. G.I.Joe, U.S. Army, reporting for duty.
I like all the stuff he says. Like,
take the jeep and get some ammo. Fast. This is Charlie Company. Send reinforcements.
and it's got like machine gun sounds and stuff.
Cover me. I'll get that machine gun.
Here you go.
Take Hill 79. Move out. All units, commence firing.
That's just, it's, as a kid, you're thrilled by this stuff.
Medic, get that stretcher up here. Enemy planes, hit the dirt. Halt, who goes there? Advance and be recognized.
Cool stuff, right? Now, this is the Marine, and what you would do, you would take the little dog tags, and he would talk. He would say like 5 or 6 different things. Let's see.
Let's go, Leatherneck. Move up.
It was fun. And they say about...
They're wanted for helicopter pickup.
And the Army and Navy's, sailor also talked. This is the John F. Kennedy G.I. Joe. And right here is the coconut, which he wrote his rescue message on, which is kind of a little hard to see. And you can see the picture of the Pt.1. They came out with a group of the generals too, along with Colin Powell. You had Omar Bradley, you had George S. Patton, you had Eisenhower, and that was a pretty nice line. You have the Tuskegee Airmen, the Tuskegee fighter pilot. There were a couple of the Tuskegee soldiers that came out that are really neat if you get a chance to look at those. And here you have the scuba diver, the perilous rescue. I have a few of these, like with the infantrymen too. I have quite a few. I've been so blessed to be able to get back so many that I had when I was a youngin'. And this is the Colin Powell G.I. Joe I was telling you about. And it got Colin Powell to sign the figure. He signed it to me and my brother right here. Excuse me. You could see his, I hope you could see his autograph right there. Oh, it's such a glare. But anyway, super nice gentleman. Super, super nice guy. This is also some of the, you could buy them either outfits or other gear that they used to have. And this one was another one of my favorites, was the undercover agent. I mean, you know how he comes with all the stuff. He comes with an extra face, you know, being in disguise, the attache case with all kinds of cool stuff in it. The fold-up machine gun. He comes with the Luger. Comes with all kind of things. Really cool. He was part of the adventure team, which is that. That's a pretty scary looking character right there with the gas mask. He's got a lot of gear on him, as you could see. Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff. He's definitely got a payload. He's comes from the late 90s. I'm sorry, no. I think he comes from the late 80s, I believe. This one was just fantastic, man. That deep sea diver was so cool. Ended up getting the flu messing with that sucker. This was another pretty freaky one. I had taken him one time and was taking pictures of him in this area. They were redoing part of the lake that they were making a park, and they had these big mounds of dirt, and it just looked really cool as a backdrop. But one of the pictures, it was a clear blue sky, and you could see all these traces from, you know, airplanes, call it what you will, you know, chemtrails maybe, who knows. But with him and the picture, I have to find it, but it looks like it's so apocalyptic looking, you know. But that was cool, taking pictures with a lot of the different ones.